Yeah, somebody should have. Yeah, totally. Yeah, no. It's utter. Good, Catherine. Good, so. Did a great job today. You know, it was just bang, bang. Chairman, Commissioner.
Oh, no, never. I've been called much worse, trust me. You know, the term confirmation bias is. I assumed you called me commissioner.
I didn't see.
Means I wasn't really listening, I apologize. Going to be a very brief. Just one last minute. Yeah, oh, then never mind. Last two, I think. No, that might. Okay, you're okay. Okay. We'll do it under my report. Yeah, okay, sounds good. Abigail, we have a quorum, don't we? Okay, good. Five. Okay. Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Fish and Wildlife Board meeting for December 14th. First thing this is an online meeting, so the first thing I would like to do is to take attendance to make sure I've recorded everybody that's here as far as members. And I'll start with Jamie Dragon.
Here.
Jamie's from Lamoille County. Bob Patterson, Addison County.
Here.
Michael Bancroft, Orange County.
Here.
Neil Hogan, Bennington County. I see Neil.
Here.
Paul Noel, Orleans County.
Here.
Allison Frazier, Chittenden County.
Here.
Marty Van Buren, Rutland County.
Here.
Michael Colson, Essex County.
Here.
Brian Bailey, Washington County.
Here.
Jay Sweeney, Franklin County.
Here.
David Dean, Windham County. Brian McCarthy, Grand Isle.
Here.
Nicholas Burnham, Windsor County.
Here.
And myself, Brad Ferrell, Caledonia County. Okay, one more time. David Dean, Windham County. Okay. Okay, so that's who we have present from the board meeting. Commissioner, you want to introduce those that are present from your department?
Sure, I'm Chris Herrick. I'm the Commissioner of the Department of Fish and Wildlife. Start over here, Major.
Major Sean Fowler, I'm the Deputy Director of the Warden Service.
I'm guessing general counsel. Katie Palmer.
Lieutenant Mike Scott, Northeast District Chief. Cody Jackman, Liverpool.
I saw some folks on zooming in. I start with John Hall maybe, or Abigail, if you want to just call people.
We have David Sawville, Brehan Murphy, Megan Junie, John Hall.
I see Ally Thomas.
Yep.
John Hall Outreach.
Thank you, John. Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Welcome, everybody. First item on our agenda tonight is the approval of the meeting minutes of November 1st and November 30th. We can vote on them as a slate if nobody has any issues with the meeting minutes as presented. And I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
I
Brian
do
Bailey?
have a couple, I have a couple questions, I'm sorry.
Okay,
I
fair
raised my
enough. Which,
hand.
Yep.
Well, first of all, the November 30th meeting minutes, I have to abstain from voting on because I apologize. The November 1st meetings, I have to abstain from voting on because I was in Colorado during that meeting and could not attend. So I would like you to vote on the two
Separately.
meeting separately. There should be on the November 30th meeting, it says the time of the meeting was 5 p.m. I believe the time was 1 p.m. in the afternoon. Not that it's a big deal, but wasn't that a 1 or 12 or 1 o'clock meeting instead of
It
a
was
5
noon.
o'clock meeting?
Noon. Yes. Good catch. Thank you.
Okay, so I will be abstaining from the November 1st.
Okay,
Approval
so
of
any
minutes.
other, and so we will vote on these separately. Let's take the November 3rd, the November 30th meeting minutes to be amended to be a 12 o'clock in the a 12 o'clock meeting. Unless there are any other questions, do I have a motion to accept as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I'll second it, Bob Patterson.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, minutes for the any opposed? Okay, ayes have it. The meeting for November. Now I've got them mixed up myself.
November
Sorry.
1st.
For November 1st, any feedback on those minute meetings? Brian, you still have your hand up. I'm not sure if you have a question still or not, a comment, but
No, I didn't know I was supposed to put it down. Lower your hand. Okay, sorry about that.
that's all right. Okay, do I have a motion to accept the meeting minutes as presented?
So moved.
Okay, in a second?
Dave Sweeney, I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor of the meeting minutes as presented signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Yep.
Ayes have it. Minutes approved. Thank you. Next item on the agenda will be public comments, limited to 2 minutes per speaker. We'll start with anybody that's here in the room. Anybody here want 2 minutes? Sir?
Rod Coronado from the town of Orange. I'd just like to make a couple brief comments regarding the proposed Furbearer rules that have passed. And just to state that there are still issues related to methods of dispatch and the addition of carbon dioxide chambers, which was added post the public comment period. And, the public was never given an opportunity to provide any input on that issue. And I know that the large justification for the inclusion of that was the Veterinary Medical Association's report that it was an adequate and humane method of dispatch, but it was also designed specifically for professional veterinarians, not for trappers. Secondly, I would just like to say that as the BMP process is adopted into the new trapping regulations, I would like to support that process, but I'm still awaiting answers from the department about specifically the 220 conibear trap and there being no scientific evidence to prove that it has passed BMP testing. This is a program that I want to endorse and support, the use of BMP process on trapping, but until I've seen the evidence that we've requested from the department and even from AFWA and even from the Fur Information Council of Canada, I have yet to be satisfied that the 220 trap is a legal BMP approved trap. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in public comments? Not seeing any. Anybody online have want to take the 2 minutes for public comments? I see one hand.
Jane Fitzwilliam.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I'm Jane Fitzwilliam, Putney, Vermont, Vermont Coyote Coexistence Coalition. The board clearly has no appreciation or understanding of what legislative intent really means. You've fought this effort every step of the way and have caused more work for all involved. You have also opened the department up to litigation since you've been unwilling to resolve the issues presented to you by LCAR. For example, if someone's dog gets mauled by coyote hounds or dies in a kill trap set in the water, the department is left very vulnerable because the burden of proof has shifted onto them. The public is in a very good position to sue Fish and Wildlife over this, and it's due to your unwillingness to work with the public. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public?
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment, and I'll try to be brief and quick about this because I know it's only 2 minutes. My name is Chris Knapp. I'm a CPA, CGMA, and served on many nonprofit boards, as well as been the past president of Asset County Economic Development. I assist in trapper education classes, primarily in the area of trap placement for target animals and water sets. I've been trapping on and off since 1975. Starting at a young age, hunting and trapping taught me a lot about ethics and values. They taught me not only outdoor skills, but the value and importance of managing wildlife resource, as well as business skills. I've earned enough money from trapping to put myself through college. Other younger people that I've known who've never been part of the outdoors seem to have a higher rate of developing addictions and other negative issues. In all the years I've trapped for many species, both on land and in the water, both rural and suburban areas, I've never caught a domestic animal because I've learned animal behavior and appropriate placement of traps and other use of lures and baits to attract targeted fur bearers. BMP traps today are far superior and focused on pad catch, so even if I did catch a domestic dog, it would not be harmed. I know this because I've released a few bobcats unharmed over the years and got caught in my coyote sets. Setback rules other than established trails as currently recommended should be the only rules in place. Unwarranted setback rules from the road, i.e. culverts, bridges, non-marked trails, etc., make it impossible for trappers to successfully take game. These are often funnel points and sets in these areas are focused. The state has to become more aggressive with leash laws and control domestic animals. Almost every single day on Front Porch Forum, someone has lost a dog or a cat that has run off. I've seen untold amounts of dog feces discarded along trails and roadways. This is becoming an epidemic. I find it totally counterculture that in a state where we are supportive of rights of minority groups, that we would capitulate to a small group that is attempting to take away the rights of others. Stripping what is going on down to its barest form, this is nothing other than one group trying to impose their values and will on another group. It's a form of racism, as denoted by the language that is used against trappers and sports people, such as barbarians, cavemen, undesirables, some much more heinous. At no other
Mr. Knapp,
time would
that
this
is-
be acceptable, and should not be acceptable in any way now. Do not bend the
Knapp.
knee to these anti-groups. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Jewel.
Hi, may I first ask a question because I admit I did not have time to research this? Is that acceptable? Will you can I ask if the previous speaker was asking what the current setback is? What is the rule for placing traps near residences and public walking or multi-use trails?
This is, where should she look to see that? Just,
It's on our website.
it's, if you look at the Fish and Wildlife Department website, you will find the information you need relative to the current trapping rules and the rules that have been proposed by the board.
Okay, so I didn't have a chance to go over that, but I would like to say that if it's not that way currently, I would like to see a rule in place that prohibits traps within a half-mile or of a medium or high density residential area or any public walking or multi-use trail. And I'm sorry if that's already there and I didn't get a chance to research it. I have had sick animals, so I've been very busy. But if that's in place, then I'm all for people in Vermont having the freedom to hunt if they want to. I just would like for it to be safe for domestic animals as well. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Looks like this, is that the same person spoke? Okay. Okay, so seeing no one else, thank you everybody for your comments. Moving on to item number 3 of the agenda is the update on the Furbearer species rule and the final vote. And I will turn it over to the Fish and Wildlife Department General Counsel, Catherine Jensen, to give us an update on where we are and what our options are for next steps.
So today, we for the legislature. Legislature had a bell card.
Catherine, could you move closer to a microphone? It's hard to hear you.
He's in a committee.
Today, there was a meeting with the Legislative Committee on Administrative Rulemaking, and they took up the fur-bearing rule. I think most of you know that the legislature had objected to 4 sections of the rule, 4 different sections. And the department responded on behalf of the board on November 30th after the last meeting, essentially laying out our arguments for why, in response to the legislative Committee on Administrative Rulemaking objections. The objections continue to be an objection to Section 3.20, which is the definition of trapping as a form of hunting. Section 314B, which is an objection based on the definition of the public trail on the ground that the LCAR has taken the position that every trail must be covered. It must include all trails where persons may reasonably be expected to recreate. There was an objection to the trapping setbacks because it exempts setback requirements for traps set in the water or under ice. And then finally, there was an objection for 3.6 relating to the control of dogs for hunting coyote with dogs, as well as the entire section of 4.20, which lays out the standards for hunting coyote with dogs including control, how many permits are issued, you know, how many dogs can be used, whether dogs can be relayed, all of that is in that section. The objections were all on the basis that the LCAR believes that these sections are contrary to the intent of the legislation. So that would be Act 159 relating to trapping rules. That's the act that required the board to engage in rulemaking for best management practices for trapping. And then also 165, which is the act that required the board to promulgate rules that for hunting coyotes with dogs. And specifically with respect to that, the LCAR stated that the objection to control of dogs and taking coyotes with the aid of dogs under section 420 was not sufficient to reduce or minimize the risk that dogs chasing coyote will enter land that is posted against hunting and will otherwise harass, harm, or harm people, property, and pets and domestic animals. And that's essentially it. The board does have the authority to file the rules regardless of whether there is an objection. And I think we've talked a little bit before about the fact that, as noticed by Ms. Fitzwilliam, I think it is, that it does shift the burden to the department and the board to defend the rule. So I think we're here today to have the board make a decision on whether or not it wants to proceed and how.
Okay, and just for clarification, our options are one, to vote to file the rule as we have voted on twice now, even with the objections from LCAR, and to have the department submit that to Secretary of State's office to be come into effect, to be effective upon its whatever the period of time is, 15 days or however many days it is.
It would be 15 days or a date certain,
Okay.
which, you know, maybe January 1st would make sense. If,
Okay.
As long as that's within the 15 or beyond the 15 days. The other option is to withdraw the rule. And the final option is to, you know, change the rule to satisfy the objections.
Okay. All Noel, I see you have a hand up.
Yeah, I didn't have time to read the letter that came from Elkhart today. I just got on, so I apologize for that. I want clarification on what would happen with the coyote hounding moratorium. If we do vote to advance these rules tonight, what exactly happens in that regard?
So the answer to that, Paul, is we're looking at our legal options right now.
So it's uncertain at this point.
Correct.
Okay.
The question you need to ask yourself is, do you still believe in the rule as you passed it?
Okay.
Any other questions from board members or comments?
Does it
Michael, Michael, you have your hand up, I believe, Michael Bancroft?
Sorry, should have coughed first, then unmuted. I think our job here is done. I think Catherine's last response to Elcar was fantastic. So I move to submit the rules as we have last voted on.
I would second that, Bob Patterson.
Okay, I have a motion to submit the rule as we last voted on to the Secretary of to the Secretary of State's office. And as we last voted on at our last meeting. Any other comments, quick comments before?
I would ask if they want to put an effective date of January 1st.
Okay, fair question. Do you want to amend that motion, Mike, to include an effective date of January 1st?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And Bob, you okay with a second for that?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay. So if anybody has anything different than what they said last meeting, I think we had a pretty extensive conversation on this last meeting. If anybody has anything different that they'd like to add or say at this point, you're welcome to, but I don't think we need to rehash everything we spoke about last meeting. Neil?
Yeah, I would just like to say that only being on the board now for 2 years and coming on in the middle of this, it certainly appears to me that the committees involved and this board has done more than their due diligence to support what the legislature asked us to do. And I'm in favor of this motion.
Okay. Seeing no other hands or no other questions, I will call the vote on that motion. We'll do a roll call vote. And we will start with Jamie Dragon. So yes, if a yes in this case would be you support submitting the rule as last voted on by the board at our last meeting. And to include the objections as identified by Elcar with an effective date of January 1st, 2024. And a no would be opposed to that. So Jamie Dragon,
Yes.
Bob Patterson,
Yes.
Michael Bancroft,
Yes.
Neil Hogan,
Yes.
Paul Noel,
Yes.
Allison Frazier,
Yes.
Marty Van Buren,
Yes.
Michael Colson,
Yes.
Brian Bailey,
Yes.
Jay Sweeney,
Yes.
David Dean, have you joined us? Okay, David is still absent. Brian McCarthy,
Yes.
Nicholas Burnham,
Yes.
Brad Ferlin, that's a yes. So the vote is 13-0 to submit the rule as we last voted on last meeting with an effective date of January 1st. Okay, next item on the agenda is commissioners' updates. Commissioner.
I'd like to first thank Catherine for all her work on this. You only get to see her when she's here in front of the legislature. I get to see her toil on a regular basis. It's been a tremendous amount of work. I'd like to thank the board for their attention to all the details of this and their attention. I'm going to ask Major Fowler to give a brief update on the warden service. So the floor is yours, Major.
Thanks, Commissioner. Coming out of deer season, a lot of good work has been done and still being done. The biggest thing that I wanted to talk to the board about is pointing out that we have 3 other wardens over in the corner. This is something you all will see on a regular basis moving forward. You'll always either see me or the colonel, but moving forward from here, we're also going to rotate and have our district lieutenants come one at a time and then bring wardens that they supervise with them. The thought process being, the warden wardens are the enforcers of the rules that come out of this board. So them having a deeper understanding of how the board process works makes a ton of sense to me. So if you're wondering why there's, 3 other uniformed wardens over in the corner, that's the biggest reason why. So you all see them moving forward. All I got.
Thank you, Major. Thank you. As I mentioned, when Paul Noel asked the question, we will be looking at our legal options with respect to the moratorium. It's not as cut and dry as some people want to think it is. So there'll be more information in regard to that. We'll be not meeting again until the new year, I hope. This ends a huge amount of work on this rulemaking. I hope the next rule that we make doesn't take as long. And with that, I'm going to keep it short. I want to wish all the board members a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, however you celebrate it, as well as to our friends over here in the corner and to the staff that are here. Thank you, everyone, and that is the end of my report.
Thank you, Commissioner, and welcome wardens. Glad to have you at the meeting. I think it's a great idea. I'll just like to add one quick update. I will be gone for the next 3 months, and so Michael Bancroft will be stepping up and being the chair running the meetings for the next 3 months. So I will be attending. I'll just be remote, and I think it's a lot easier for someone to manage the meetings when they're present and watching one screen rather than watch it, remotely. So anyway, Mike, good luck, and I'm sure you'll do fine. Does anybody else have any comments before we entertain a meeting motion to adjourn? Michael Bancroft.
I also want to add Happy Festivus, everyone.
Thank you.
Jay
Thank you,
Sweeney?
Mike.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Catherine and all the staff. This has been a long, drawn-out process to get us where we are. I don't think we're done here, but we'll see. But your efforts are not unnoticed, and happy and safe holidays, everyone.
Paul Noel?
Yeah, I picked up the 2024 hunting and trapping guide, and I noticed the trapping regs have been truncated, as published in that. And there's a note saying refer to the website for possible future new rules. Maybe that's being worked out also, but I wondered if hard copy revisions will be sent to license agents to pass out to the public when this does occur.
I doubt it. We had we have a deadline for you're talking about this, I believe,
Yes.
in September. And so that was a placeholder, and the website will have all the information in detail. And if somebody can't access it, we'll figure out a way to get a printed copy for them.
Yeah, I didn't mean a whole new digest. I just meant an the new rules.
An insert or something.
Well, you know what? We'll look at it, Paul.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Jay, I see your hand is still up. I don't know, is that a?
Oh, sorry.
I didn't. Brian McCarthy?
Thank you, Brad.
Sure.
I was just wondering if we have set some dates for board meetings moving forward for the next year. I know we've been pretty busy with all this stuff, but it would be nice to know roughly when we're planning on meeting again so that people can plan their lives. And I also just want to thank everybody for the hard work they've put into this.
So the answer to that question is yes. Abigail's been working diligently I don't know if you've sent that out yet. Gonna go out tonight or tomorrow.
Maybe not tonight. Tomorrow will be fine, Abigail.
Doesn't work for you.
That's all right, but none of us are gonna check our email later tonight either, so. Okay, can I get a motion for adjournment? If there's nothing else, please.
Jay Sweeney,
moved.
so moved.
Okay, and a second. Ryan McCarthy, sound like seconded. Okay, all those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Merry Christmas to everybody.
Ayes have it. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. Merry Christmas.
Done.
Usually 2 miles from each other.